Hi guys, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on to do another piece of ephemera to put into my underwater journal using the digital papers from Whichcraft Do You Do. So I'll get on with it. I hope you enjoy. I have a blue CD pocket here and I want to make it into a flip-up pocket with the journal card for my underwater journal. So I'm just snipping a tiny bit off of both sides there so that I can open it up light out flat. I want to cover the inside of the pocket so you'll be able to see something through the window when we take the journal card out. Now I've got some of this tissue paper. It's Finnabar Art Daily decorative paper, and this one's the nautical, and I got that from the lovely George's Bible, which I'll link it down below if you want to go and check out the paper. It's beautiful. Now I'm going to use glue stick to stick it down, but I'm also going to go around the edges with my tacky glue just to make sure that the edges stick down really well. I tried my big glue stick, but the weather's really gotten to it and it's almost empty, so it was just really gluggy, so I've ditched that. Now I've got my smaller glue stick, which isn't in a much better state, but I do want to use it up. So just doing a good even coverage of that over the inside of my CD envelope. Then just around those edges with the tacky glue, and I will stick my tissue paper down. So it comes in big sheets, this tissue paper, so I just cut a bit off to use for this. Just flattening it all out nicely with my credit card there, or gym membership card, whichever one. Credit card sounds better, but I don't have one of those, so which is a good thing. So just go and cut any overhanging tissue paper off. So next I want to cover the front part of the envelope as well. So I've got another square of tissue paper there that I want to put on. Just figuring out which way I want my envelope to flip. So I'm using my stick glue again, and I'll also go around the outside of the circle and the edges of the CD case with my tacky glue. Now I did snip in the middle of my tissue paper, just a little snip, so that I can rip the circle out once I've stuck the tissue paper down. Just thought it'd be a bit easier if I just snip a little piece to create a hole to begin it. So you can see here I'm just sticking my fingers in the hole and then ripping around. Because it's a little bit wet where my tacky glue is, it helps me guide where I want to rip. Although the tissue paper's funny to rip because it rips across really easy, but then up and down it doesn't rip so easy, I found. So I'm just going around with my fingers and pulling it off, and it is pulling off some of the tissue paper on the CD envelope there and revealing the blue of it, but I don't mind that. I actually quite like that look. I didn't want to cut it in a round circle and have it all neat and that. I do like the ripped edges, and I'd rather pull off some of the bit that's covering the envelope than to leave bits overhanging on the window so much. So it takes a while just to pull off all the little bits here. And again, I like the ripped look, so I'm just ripping off any overhanging bits here. I tried to use my ruler to do it on the side where it's hard to rip it up. But that didn't work too well, so just going back to using my fingers. I got there in the end. So I have some blank book page here, and I want to use this to create my journal card to slip into my CD envelope. So I'm just figuring out the size I want it and ripping it down to size. I like those nice grungy tape stained pieces, so I'll keep them for another project. So I have my distress inks. I grabbed out Mermaid Lagoon, Salvaged Patina, Uncharted Marina, and Prize Ribbon, and I'm just using those to colour up this piece of paper. Not very good with my ink blending, but I'll give it a go. So I'm starting off with darker and then going up to the lighter colours here. I remembered to use some of my greaseproof paper under my fingers there just so that I don't leave a fingerprint in my ink. I always forget to do that, so it's a habit I should get used to doing. So my journal card is going to be a square sort of shape, so where it's messy down the bottom there, I will be ripping that off. Just keep applying ink until I've got it as dark as I want it. Decide to go around the edges with the darker ink there. Just fill it in a bit where it looks a bit patchy in that. I grabbed colours that I thought would go well with the tissue paper colours. So I'm just flicking a bit of water on it to get a bit of a reaction from the ink. Then I dab it off with my tissue. I think the colours go really nice with the tissue paper, so I'm happy with that. Now figuring out what size I want it. And I'll just rip the other two ends off now. Needs to be big enough that it fits in there nicely and fills up the window so you can't see the edges through the window. So I'll go around the edges with my darker ink there. I think it's the Uncharted Marina that I'm using there. And it looks like it's going to fit really nicely in. So I decide to go over the tissue paper on the front with my gel matte medium, just to seal it nicely. So if any bits are sort of lifting and that, this will hold it down really nicely. So I'm just brushing that on with the paintbrush. And I'm using a Holcroft Professional Gel Medium Matte. But any gel medium would do. You could probably just use PVA as well. Now this is a octopus that I have fussy cut out of the Whichcraft Do You Do Digital. And I've just got to finish off with my little knife there and cut out the more intricate pieces inside that would be hard to get with my scissors. And here's from the Collage Tear Pages Set 5. Now I've got a stamp there, they're like sort of bubbles. And I'm using my Uncharted Marina again, I think, to add some bubbles around the edge of my journal card. I've grabbed my tea dye distress ink and I'm going to go around the edge of the octopus. I don't want to add any colour really to him. I just want to get rid of any white bits that I didn't cut very well. And then even though he looks really good, I still think he'd look better with something underneath. So I found my cheesecloth that the lovely Kerry at Whichcraft Do You Do sent me some of her coloured cheesecloth and I absolutely love it. There's so many different hues of the colours in there, so I grabbed out all the ones that are sort of blue and green and that to use. You can always find the colour you need. And I thought a piece of that would go really nicely underneath my octopus. So I'm applying quite a sort of thickish lot of my tacky glue there so that it can hold down my cheesecloth as well as the octopus. I did just put a little dollop of tacky glue underneath the cheesecloth just to hold it in place while I do this. And I use the grease-proof paper to help me push it down and rub it out so that I don't get glue on my fingers. Now I've got the coloured end book page there, and I'm going to stick my journal card on top of that to make it more sturdy. I like to make my journal cards like this, especially if I'm doing some mixed media on them, because they will buckle and warp a bit, and so if I wait and put the backing paper on afterwards, it helps flatten them out. Then I just trim off the excess. Again, I go around the edges with my darker blue. Now I want to put some writing space on the back of this, so I have printed out a page that's from the Oceanus Collection Set 1, and it's just a lined paper page which you could use in your journals. But I thought that would be nice to break down and use as writing spot on the back of my journal card. Stamp my bubbles on this piece as well, and then I can just stick that down on the back. Just going around the edges a bit again to make them a bit darker. Have some of the crochet nylon there in a nice blue. I think it goes well. I'm going to use that as a pull tab for my journal card. I've decided that I'm going to make it a side inserting journal card. Since we've opened up the CD envelope, I can stick it down whichever way I like, so that enables me to make it a side loading pocket if I want to, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm just figuring out which side I need to put my tab on so I don't put it on the wrong side. So I'm going to close my envelope now. I've decided which side I'm going to put in the journal card. So I'm just applying some of my 450 quick dry adhesive. That'll hold it really well. And I've just put it on the one side, on the right hand side, and down the bottom to close off my pocket. Checking that my journal card fits all right and I don't need to trim it. There's a couple of bits of cheesecloth that are getting knocked around a bit when I slide it in, so I'm just tacking them down with a bit of glue. Then I can add my tab pieces. So I'm doing a longer tab piece here. I'll just tack that down with a bit of glue as well. And then over the top I'm doing another piece that's a bit sort of shorter, but it will stick out a bit further to help me pull it out of the pocket. Don't ask me why I'm doing it this way. I just do whatever. Go with the flow. Now there's this page of words, and that is the Oceanus Collection Set 1 as well. And there's one that says Neptune's Garden. I really like that, so I thought I'd like to add that to my pocket. So I'll just tear it down so it fits in one of the corners neatly. Now I've ripped it so you can see the whites on both ends, and that's the look that I wanted. I will ink it up just a little bit with the blue. So again, I want some writing space on the back of my CD envelope for when we flip it down, we can write on it. So I'm using some more of my lined piece of paper that I used on the journal card, just inking it up. I go a bit messy doing this, and I dog-eared it, so I just inked that up a bit. Why not? So then I'll stick that down onto the back of my envelope. And then I will stamp it with my bubbles in keeping with the back of the journal card. Now I might add more to this pocket when I put it into my journal, but for now it's pretty well done. I'm just going to add this bit of book page that I have hanging around to the inside of the flip there, because when we flip our envelope down, we will see that part that's going to be another tuck spot, I think. But I want to cover it with something, and I really like the colours and pattern on this page. I think it's actually some bodily function. It looks like I should have that, but I'm pretty sure it came out of a medical book on body functions. I tried to keep the pictures that weren't of too gross things. Oh, what you don't know, Wayne, hey? So then with my journal card, I want to sew down, and I'm going to hand sew, very messy hand sewing, down where my tab is, just to hold that nylon, crochet nylon on. It'll hold it on sturdy, and I thought I might add just a couple of sequins as well. Make it a bit fun. So I'm just leaving a long tail as I stitch down in a straight stitch, adding a sequin here and there. And then with each stitch at the back, I will use it to hold the end of the thread. That way we'll end up with the end of the thread that we started with down near the bottom where we're going to finish, and then I can tie it off at the end. The nylon doesn't stick too well with the glue and that, and I wouldn't expect that to hold it on too well if you're pulling it in and out a lot, so that's why I thought I'd sew it as well. And I had these random sequins hanging around. I don't have the patience for much sewing, so I can do little things like this. Not very well, but I can do them. So once I've finished here, I just tie a double knot with both my thread ends. Okay, so that was lots of fun, and I love the way this has turned out. So this is my altered CD envelope. So it's going to be a flip in my journal. I'll stick it down. I'll probably just glue on the bottom and the two sides. So it'll sit like that on a page, and I'll be able to fold it up. So it'll be like that. We'll be able to fold it down. This will be a tuck spot, so I'll be able to fit something under there. You can write on this part. And then we can pull out our journal card, and we've got the beautiful tissue paper on the background there. And then we've got our journal card with this gorgeous octopus and some nice bling. And then we can write on the back of that as well. So I love the way that turned out. That was so much fun to make. It's nice just trying out a bit of mixed media or something a little different. I want to try a few different things for this journal and just have a bit of fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed that. And yes, I'll put down the links below to the tissue paper and the digital kits that I have used in this project. Hopefully I'll see you again quite soon with more work on my underwater journal. I must dig in and get it done soon. But I'm really enjoying the process. So take care of yourselves, be good, and I will see you again soon. Bye.